efforts to advance an American Saudi-Israeli-Palestinian deal are in the making. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is the one who will carry the message. I-24 News' Owen Alterman reports.
Back in January, Saudi Arabia was still the phrase that no one said. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken came to Jerusalem and went, met with Israel's prime minister, foreign minister, and president. And in talking about normalization, this is about as specific as anyone got.
We intend to deepen the peace that we've already made in the Abraham Accords. We discussed some of the initiatives that we are considering doing together.
Fast forward to October and see how much has changed. With an I-24 News exclusive report that Blinken is adding Saudi Arabia to his itinerary as part of a Middle East trip, also taking in Israel and the West Bank.
The United States has a real national security interest in promoting normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia.
With the trip, the Biden administration is sending a signal. It wants the region to know shuttle diplomacy is on, and at a high level, that this process has momentum. Of course, Iran too sees that momentum, and so sees an opening to boost Tehran's soft power among publics in the region that do not like Israel.
The definite position of the Islamic Republic is that countries that make the gamble of normalization with Israel will lose. They are betting on a losing horse.
While Ali Khamenei's terrorist regime exports ruin and destruction, Israel is advancing progress and peace,
sharpening the fight over Israel's place in the Middle East.
So for more on that, with us now are Dan Diker, president of Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us. And also Badr Al Saadoun, political activist from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Let me start with you, Mr. Diker. What are the main obstacles as you see it now?
The main obstacles, Yaakov, are basically the U.S. Demands of Israel, which are less important to the Saudi Crown Prince, as you may have noticed in the September 20th interview with him with Bret Baier of Fox News. Saudis are looking with great anticipation to the normalization deal with Israel, and the obstacles are very much in the Palestinian leadership led by Mahmoud Abbas, who has radicalized his public so severely over the last 3 decades that they are very hard-pressed to accept the Saudi initiative. And the Americans, as Ariel Kahana reported in Israel Hayom yesterday, the Saudis and the Israelis have expressed some frustration with the American assistance on on the requirements for Israeli concessions that the Israelis are unprepared to make, because they would actually threaten Israel's viability as a secure nation state, requiring Israel to pull back the 67 lines.
So the Saudis and the Israelis you're telling us the Americans are the obstacles? The Americans
and the Palestinians are much more the obstacles, as Ariel Kahana reported yesterday, than the Saudis and the Israelis. Saudis and Israelis are on the same page. They want to move forward. They want a regional peace. They want Israel as a regional transportation hub, and they want Saudi Arabia to be the startup nation of the Arab world. And the Americans and the Palestinians are really those that are holding back the deal.
Mr. Saadoun, how do you see this? What is the main obstacle, as you see it?
Hello, good evening from Riyadh. I'm glad to be here. I like the title when you mentioned history is in the making. That's totally true. And I think there is a positive sign, as Crown Prince Mohammed mentioned in the interview with Fox News, that we are in the move. There is progress every day toward the peace process. Saudis, in general, the public Saudi and the government definitely are indeed an interest or anxious to conclude this deal, to conclude the peace in this region. We don't want to continue the struggle 70 years. We would like to have to have a peace, prosperity. We have to live side by side, or race, or religion, to create this harmony in this region. This region is a fanatic concept, totally with the several religion, so many intellectual science was there in this region. It is really a shame that we continue fight another 70 years or more. Therefore, the Saudis are very serious to determine and to finalize this issue of Palestine, to move on with the Israeli relationship, with the Israeli government, Israeli people, and Israeli as a whole, a country.
And still, Mr. Saadoun, the question is, you've mentioned the Palestinian issue, for example. Where are the lines? Where is the flexibility of the Saudis, and where are the lines?
Well, I'm not part of the government. I'm just an individual figure, Saudi figure. So I read the picture like as you read it. What mentioned in Saudi Arabia, official statements, that the Saudis are very serious to create this so-called state, Palestinian state. The reason for that, as a public figure, as an individual, I believe, the peace should be collective. Everybody should benefit from this process. We cannot exclude any people out of this picture. We believe totally that the process should include a state of Palestine. How did it done? What is the process? What is the mechanism? I will leave it to the negotiator. But I think, personally, I believe it's going to be gradually to move on to final stage. It doesn't have to be done in one shot, in one deal. It should be take probably a gradual steps toward that.
Thank you for that. So, Mr. Diker, do you see an agreement going forward without giving something to the Palestinians, something as a hope for a state?
Yaakov, I'll turn our attention to the September 20th interview by His Excellency Mohammed bin Salman, in which he said in English for the first time that he has given a full interview in English for an hour to Brett Baer, that he wishes to help the Palestinian people. Israel also wishes to help the Palestinian people, but the real shift here by His Excellency Mohammed bin Salman, and that has been confirmed by our Saudi expert on your program today, is that there is no veto power by the Palestinian government led by Mahmoud Abbas as to what had traditionally been a requirement of a Palestinian state in the 1967 lines with Jerusalem as its capital. That is no longer the precondition towards a normalization deal with Saudi Arabia, and I think that every Israeli...
The flip coin of this is not nothing. There should be something there, according to the Saudis themselves.
Absolutely. Look, the Israelis and the Saudis are aligned on the point, Yaakov, that Israel and the Saudis want to help the Palestinian people. The problem of the Palestinian people are the Palestinian leadership. This is a leadership that funds terrorists, that incentivize terrorists to kill Israelis, that has robbed the Palestinian central bank of its funds, that has been really a major obstacle to the future of the Palestinian people. And I think that Mohammed bin Salman understands this. He wants to move forward with his Israeli allies.
We have to take a break, and I'd like to thank you very much, both of you, especially our guest from Riyadh, which is the first time here on this show, and I hope to see you again many times, according to your predictions. Thank you very much, both.